Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature channel. Take a slow, deep breath and let the day soften around you. Tonight, you'll drift into the gentle world of cats, not as pets, but as quiet wanderers of meadows, rooftops, and moonlit gardens. You settle into the quiet evening light, and the world around you feels unusually still. Somewhere nearby, you hear the faintest rustle, the delicate sound of soft paws slipping through tall grass. Cats often move this way because their paw pads are naturally cushioned, letting them step almost silently, even on dry leaves. A light breeze brushes past you, and you notice how cats turn their faces toward scents carried by the air. They have over 200 million scent receptors, far more than humans, allowing them to read the wind the way you might read a line of text. You watch as a small cat pauses, her whiskers trembling ever so slightly. Those whiskers aren't just for show. They're tuned to the tiniest changes in air currents, helping her understand shapes and spaces without needing to touch them. She lowers herself into the grass, body perfectly balanced. Cats' inner ears contain delicate structures that help them stay steady even when moving in darkness or along narrow ledges. Their sense of balance is so refined, it almost seems like a kind of quiet magic. The sky deepens from gold to lavender, and her eyes glow softly. A cat's pupils adjust far more dramatically than yours can, widening into wide, dark pools to gather every bit of fading light. Their night vision is 6 times better than a human's, making dusk feel almost like daytime to her. As she steps into a beam of soft light, you notice tiny, nearly invisible hairs within her ears, shifting with the breeze. Cats can rotate each ear nearly 180 degrees to pinpoint even the faintest sound, a distant flutter of wings, a leaf tumbling across the ground, the hush of evening settling in. She blinks at you slowly. In the gentle world of cats, a slow blink is like a whispered greeting, a sign of trust. Many cats use this soft gesture with humans and with one another, sharing calmness without a sound. Her tail sways lightly, tracing smooth arcs in the air. The tail is a flexible guide, helping cats balance as they walk along edges or leap gently from place to place. It also carries their mood like a soft ribbon of communication. The cat kneads the earth with steady, rhythmic motions, a behavior rooted in kittenhood, when kneading helped stimulate warmth and comfort. Even in adulthood, this motion brings peace, a soothing echo of early memories. Nearby, you notice delicate claw marks on a tree trunk. Cats scratch not in aggression, but to stretch their muscles, mark territory with scent, and shed the outer layers of their claws. It is a natural, calming ritual, as steady and instinctive as a sigh. The evening air carries a soft purr, low, steady, warm. Cats purr in many moments, not only in happiness, but also to soothe themselves. The vibrations may even help their bodies heal, a gentle hum that comforts muscles and eases stress. She rolls lightly onto her side, exposing the soft fur of her belly to the warm air. Cats do this only when they feel safe, trusting the ground beneath them and the quietness of the world around them. As darkness deepens, her coat blends into the shadows. Many cats' fur patterns offer natural camouflage, helping them melt into landscapes effortlessly. Even the simplest markings carry stories of their distant wild ancestors. The first stars appear overhead, and the cat lifts her head as if listening to them. Cats can hear frequencies far beyond human range. Even the tiny scurry of a beetle beneath the soil, or the rustle of wings high above. You sit quietly beside her, letting the stillness settle. Cats spend much of their lives resting, sometimes up to 2/3 of every day. Rest isn't laziness for them. It's a way of preserving energy, of living slowly and attentively. A soft scent of blooming night flowers drifts by. Cats use a special organ in the roof of their mouth, the Jacobson's organ, to gather richer details from the air, sometimes curling their lips slightly in a behavior called flamen, as if tasting a story carried by the wind. The cat rises again, stretching long and slow. Stretching happens many times a day, loosening muscles that are built for quick motion, yet kept relaxed until needed. Each stretch is a quiet reset. Her fur catches the last traces of twilight, revealing subtle hues you hadn't noticed before. Cat fur can reflect light in complex ways because each strand tapers into delicate shapes unique to felines. The air cools. A faint chirping sound escapes her as she watches a distant shadow move. A soft vocalization cats often make when observing birds or insects, part instinct, part quiet excitement. You exhale gently, letting your own breath match the easy rhythm of the world around you. The cat sits beside you now, a calm presence in the dim light. In the peaceful company of cats, the night feels less like darkness and more like a soft blanket settling over the land. She closes her eyes. You do the same. And the forest exhales with you both. Night settles fully now, softer than velvet, and you find yourself walking a few quiet steps behind the small cat as she moves along a narrow path. Cats often choose routes with familiar scents or gentle textures, relying on memory as much as observation. Their mental maps are surprisingly detailed, letting them retrace steps even after long wanderings. The moon rises, pale and calm, and her fur almost glows beneath it. Cats can see well in low light, not just because of their sensitive eyes, but also due to a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum. It sends unused light back through the eye, giving them a second chance to absorb it, making the night feel luminous. You watch her pause at a small puddle, her reflection rippling softly. Cats prefer still water because it lets them gauge depth and clarity. Their whiskers help sense the surface tension, letting them drink without dipping their noses too deeply. A faint rustle draws her attention, a moth fluttering close to the ground. Cats are drawn to small, fluttering movements because their brains are wired to detect quick, subtle motion far better than slow changes. Even in rest, part of them stays alert to the tiniest shifts in their surroundings. She sits, her tail curling gracefully around her paws. Cats often do this to keep warmth close to their bodies, especially in cooler night air. Their tails hold dense muscles and nerves, making them sensitive and expressive. You notice how she breathes, slow, steady, rhythmic. Cats breathe through their noses almost exclusively, allowing scents to flow continuously through specialized passages. In calm moments like this, their breath becomes nearly silent, blending with the sound of the night. The breeze carries the scent of distant plants, and the cat lifts her head, tasting the air. She detects more than the presence of flowers. She senses animals that passed earlier, the direction they traveled, even how long ago. Their scent memory is powerful, allowing them to read the invisible stories around them. Her ears turn like delicate radars, following a tiny crackle in the underbrush. Cats have over 30 muscles in each ear, enabling precise, independent rotation. This helps them locate sounds with incredible accuracy, even when the source is hidden. A gentle purr begins again, barely audible. Many cats purr not only when content, but also when focusing, exploring, or comforting themselves. The vibrations resonate at frequencies that may help soothe and even strengthen bones. She steps forward, and you see how her body flows with effortless grace. Cat spines are incredibly flexible, with interlocking muscles and elastic ligaments that allow fluid movement. Each step is economical, preserving energy for sudden bursts of speed if needed. As she climbs onto a fallen log, her pads make no sound. Cat's paw pads are unique, soft enough for silence, yet textured enough to provide grip on slippery surfaces. Even in darkness, they navigate uneven terrain with ease. She pauses again, gazing upward. Cats can detect movements far faster than humans. Their visual system refreshes more rapidly, allowing them to track quick motions like insects or falling leaves with remarkable clarity. A small firefly drifts near, glowing gently. The cat watches but doesn't pounce. Cats often assess before acting, using a still moment to measure distance and angles. They are natural mathematicians of motion, relying on instinct rather than thought. You notice the faint outline of her claws as she stretches. Cats retract their claws not only for silence, but also to keep them sharp for climbing and balance. When they stretch, the claws slip forward like tiny curved tools, precise and graceful. The night air cools further, and she shakes her fur lightly. Cat fur is layered, a soft insulating undercoat and longer guard hairs that repel moisture and protect from wind. This layered structure keeps them warm even in a chilly breeze. She brushes gently against a tree trunk, leaving behind a subtle scent. Cats have glands along their cheeks and flanks that release pheromones. When they rub against objects or people, they're marking familiar, comforting territory. The forest hums softly, and you follow as she slips into a small clearing. Cats often seek open spaces with clear sky when listening or observing, using the unobstructed air to better sense distant sounds. Moonlight settles across the clearing, and she sits in its glow. Some cats are naturally drawn to still, bright patches, a behavior linked to their preference for warm surfaces and quiet vantage points. She looks back at you with another slow blink, a gentle affirmation that you're welcome to share this moment. You settle onto the soft ground beside her, letting calmness settle through your body. The night is vast, but with a quiet companion beside you, it feels small and safe. The moon hangs gently above, the air cool and steady, and the soft world of cats stretches around you like a peaceful dream. The clearing drifts into a deeper quiet, and you rise as the cat begins to wander again, her movements slow and unhurried. Cats often explore in gentle arcs rather than straight lines, letting their senses guide each curve. Their navigation isn't rigid, it flows, just like the night around you. She steps toward a patch of tall grass, and you watch how each blade parts silently around her. Cats' bodies are naturally streamlined, allowing them to slip through dense vegetation without disturbing it much. Even their fur is designed to glide smoothly along surfaces, reducing friction and noise. A faint glow from the moon highlights the soft outline of her whiskers. These whiskers extend to roughly the width of her body, helping her judge whether she can fit through tight spaces. Each whisker is rooted deeply, connected to sensitive nerves that detect vibrations in the air. You follow her into the grass, noticing how she occasionally lifts her paws higher than necessary. Cats do this because their nervous systems store maps of the ground beneath them, adjusting their gait for unseen dips, roots, and stones. Their sense of touch is incredibly refined, especially in their paws. She pauses by a low bush dotted with tiny flowers. Cats can distinguish subtle scent differences between plants, and many have preferences for certain smells. Some plants even release compounds that soothe cats naturally, offering calming effects similar to herbal comforts for humans. A tiny chirp escapes her as she watches a beetle crawl along a leaf. Cats make this sound when observing something that fascinates them, a sound somewhere between excitement and concentration. It's a soft pulse of instinct echoing deep in their nature. The garden opens into a quieter, shadowed space. Here, fireflies drift lazily, their lights shimmering like tiny floating stars. Cats can see these glimmers as more than simple flashes. Their eyes are sensitive enough to detect faint changes in brightness that humans might miss. You notice how her tail lowers as she enters the darker space. Cats naturally adjust their tail positions based on mood and environment. A lowered tail often signals comfort and focus, a willingness to move slowly and deliberately. A soft rustling sound emerges from beneath a cluster of leaves. The cat tilts her head, and you can almost see her analyzing the sound. Cats can detect differences of less than 1/10 of a second between two sounds arriving at their ears, allowing them to pinpoint sources with remarkable precision. She kneels into a long stretch, her spine arching gracefully. Cat spines contain more vertebrae than most mammals of similar size, giving them exceptional flexibility. This helps them twist, leap, and stretch in ways that seem effortless and fluid. The night air becomes still again. You feel the presence of dew forming on the plants, a coolness that cats detect easily with sensitive skin beneath their fur. Their whiskers can sense moisture in the air, helping them understand when dawn is approaching. She steps onto a smooth stone, her paw pads cushioning each movement. Cats' pads contain sweat glands that help with temperature regulation. In warm weather, these glands release tiny traces of moisture, leaving faint scent markers behind. A gentle breeze carries a distant sound, leaves brushing together, maybe a small animal settling in for the night. The cat turns toward it but remains relaxed. Cats have different listening modes: alertness, tracking, and observation. Right now, she is simply observing, gathering information gently. You notice her breathing slow even further. Cats often reduce their breathing rate when they feel safe, syncing it with the surrounding environment. Their calmness becomes contagious, like a ripple of peace expanding outward. She circles a soft patch of moss and settles down, curling her tail tightly around her body. This curled position conserves warmth and protects sensitive areas. A natural, comforting rest posture passed down through generations. The faint scent of earth and night flowers surrounds you. Cats can distinguish between layers of scent that arrive at different times, reading the stories of the day, who passed through, when they came, where they went. Scent, to a cat, is memory. A tiny stretch of her toes reveals small claws before they slip back into place. Cats retract their claws instinctively to protect the sharp tips, a trait evolved from climbing and balancing in varied environments. She begins grooming gently, licking her fur in slow, rhythmic strokes. Cats groom not only for cleanliness, but to distribute natural oils across their coat, helping it stay smooth and insulating. Grooming also calms their nervous systems, lowering stress. You watch the way her tongue moves, rough like sandpaper due to backward-facing papillae. These tiny barbs help remove loose fur, dust, and tiny particles. Each grooming stroke is a soothing ritual built into their nature. The sounds of the night soften, and you lie beside her on the moss. The world feels quieter now, as if wrapped in a soft blanket. Cats often seek companionable quiet rather than activity, sharing space without expecting anything in return. You match your breath to the gentle rhythm of the moment. Here, in the sleeping garden, the night feels endless and wonderfully kind. The garden gradually slopes upward, and the cat leads you toward a low stone wall bathed in moonlight. Cats often seek higher places at night, not to escape, but to observe. Height gives them a sense of comfort, a gentle vantage point where the world feels spacious and calm. She hops onto the wall with a soft, controlled motion. Cats' hind legs are powerfully built, allowing them to leap many times their own height. Yet, they rarely use their full strength unless needed. Their movements are measured, almost mindful. You climb up beside her, settling on the soft, cool stone. From here, the rooftops stretch across the quiet landscape, each one softened by moonlit shadows. Cats often treat rooftops like safe pathways, using their balance and ability to judge distances with remarkable accuracy. She begins walking along the wall's edge, her steps perfectly placed. Cats instinctively place their back paws in the same spots as their front paws, a pattern called direct registering. It conserves energy and creates the quietest possible movement. A soft gust of wind passes by, and her whiskers tremble. Whiskers aren't just on their faces. They also appear on their legs, helping them sense obstacles close to the ground and adjust their steps. The night hums gently, and she pauses to listen. Cats can detect ultrasonic sounds far above human hearing. Tiny night insects, rustling leaves, distant wings. She hears all of it in layered detail. You walk a little farther and notice her silhouette against the moon. Her pupils are wide, taking in every scrap of light. Even with their impressive night vision, cats don't see sharp colors in darkness. Instead, shapes and motion guide them through the night. She glances back and gives another slow blink. Cats blink like this to show trust and to diffuse tension. It's a quiet language all their own, spoken without sound, offered softly. A sudden sparkle catches her eye, the shimmering reflection of moonlight on a metal gutter nearby. Cats are naturally curious about unusual flashes or reflections. As these mimic the quick movements they are wired to notice. As she approaches the gutter, you observe how her shoulder blades rise and fall with each step. Cats' shoulder blades are not fully attached to their skeletons. Instead, they float within flexible muscles. This gives them remarkable reach and fluidity in motion. She steps onto a slanted rooftop, her paws adjusting instantly. Cats' paw pads contain tiny sensory receptors that detect texture, temperature, and even slight vibrations. These help them understand surfaces in an instant. A faint purr rises again, soft, steady, reassuring. Cats may purr when content, but they also purr to stay calm, even during exploration. It's a rhythmic hum of self-comfort and presence. You notice her grooming briefly, licking her paw and brushing it along her face. This has many functions: cleaning, soothing, and regulating temperature. Cats cool themselves slightly by spreading saliva across their fur in warm weather. The rooftop opens into a wider flat space, and she settles down, her tail curled loosely beside her. Cats often choose open areas to rest at night because they can see the approach of anything nearby. It gives them a reassuring sense of awareness. She lifts her head to the breeze again. Cats can smell up to 14 times better than humans, and they interpret scent patterns like invisible maps across the landscape. Even a faint breeze holds information. From this height, you both watch the soft lights of the distant village. Cats are naturally drawn to quiet nighttime landscapes. They are crepuscular, most active in the twilight hours when the world softens. You notice her ears shifting ever so slightly, even while resting. Cats' ears respond automatically to sound, adjusting angle without conscious thought. They rarely miss anything in their environment. She stretches out, extending her legs and flexing her claws gently. Cats stretch after resting to restore circulation, loosen muscles, and reset their posture. Each stretch is deliberate and comforting. A soft rumble of distant thunder echoes far beyond the hills. The cat remains calm. Cats are sensitive to changes in air pressure, often sensing shifts in weather before storms arrive. She knows this one is far away. The rooftop is warm beneath you, holding the heat of the day. Cats seek out these warm surfaces instinctively. Their ideal resting temperature is higher than humans, making sunlit stones, windowsills, and rooftops perfect sleeping spots. She lowers her head and closes her eyes. Her breathing becomes deep and slow. Cats drift easily into light sleep, staying partially aware of their surroundings. Their ears and whiskers continue to shift gently, even as they rest. You sit beside her in the moonlit quiet, letting your own breath soften. The rooftops feel peaceful, steady, suspended and calm. With a feline friend curled beside you, the night becomes a gentle place where dreams linger close to the surface. The rooftops slope downward into a quiet courtyard, and the cat leads you there with unhurried steps. Cats often move from high spaces to enclosed areas during the night, seeking pockets of stillness where scents gather and the air feels soft. Their instinct guides them toward places that hold stories in the wind. Moonlight spills gently across the courtyard stones. The cat pauses at the center, where a cluster of pale flowers glows softly. Many flowers open only at night, releasing faint scents carried just above ground level, the perfect height for a cat's sensitive nose. Cats detect the world not only through sight, but through delicate layers of fragrance rising from soil, plants, and warm stone. You watch as she lowers her nose to a fallen petal. Cats have an additional sensory organ, the Jacobson's organ, that lets them taste scents more deeply. When she lifts her head slightly with parted lips, she's drawing information inward, like a quiet whisper from the flower itself. The courtyard air moves lightly, carrying a mix of cool night and lingering warmth from the day. Cats sense temperature changes quickly, especially through their ears and paws. Even a small shift helps them decide where to rest or explore next. She circles a smooth stone basin at the courtyard's edge. Cats prefer shallow water sources where the surface barely ripples, allowing them to see reflections clearly. Their whiskers also help gauge water movement, signaling the depth with surprising precision. A faint tapping sound echoes from a nearby archway. The cat turns instantly. Cats can hear frequencies far beyond human range, even the flutter of tiny wings brushing against stone. Her ears swivel with a soft, fluid motion, adjusting independently to pinpoint the sound. She steps toward the archway, her body low and relaxed. Cats often move with deliberate slowness, not because they're cautious, but because their muscles are built for sudden acceleration. A slow walk conserves energy for any moment that requires it. As she reaches the shadowed entrance, her tail rises slightly. Tail cues reflect comfort, curiosity, and confidence. A gently lifted tail often signals a friendly mood, an invitation to follow without worry. Inside the archway, small fireflies drift lazily in the silence. Cats see these small flickers as distinct, sharp points of motion. Their eyes may not perceive vivid color in dim light, but they track movement with astonishing clarity. She steps near an old wooden door where the scent of aged wood lingers heavily. Cats can separate scents in layers. They can detect what's new, what's old, and what has changed since the last visit. Their scent memory creates a mental map far more detailed than a visual one. A small moth lands on the stone wall, its wings barely trembling. The cat does not pounce. She simply watches. Cats often observe before acting, studying angles and distances with a calm patience that feels like meditation. She settles down on a patch of soft moss, kneading it gently with her paws. This kneading connects back to kittenhood, a soothing behavior that persists into adulthood. Each rhythmic press relaxes her body, spreading warmth through her muscles. The courtyard grows quieter as the night deepens. Cats thrive in calm spaces where echoes are soft and scents remain stable. These environments help them relax, tune their senses, and drift between alertness and rest. Her breathing slows further, and you notice how her whiskers subtly twitch. Even in rest, whiskers react to minute air currents, tiny movements invisible to you but full of meaning to her. She curls into a crescent shape, tucking her nose beneath her tail. This compact posture retains warmth and protects delicate facial features. Cats instinctively choose positions that balance comfort with safety. A gentle purr vibrates through the quiet air. Purring in restful moments creates a low hum that may promote muscle relaxation and steady breathing. It's a natural form of healing, woven into their very nature. Around you, the midnight flowers give off a subtle sweetness. Cats don't depend on floral scents, but they can recognize which plants are familiar and which ones are new visitors to the courtyard. Each flower contributes to the tapestry of nighttime fragrance. A faint pattern of paw prints across the courtyard stones catches your eye. Cats walk with such precision that even their footprints tell a story of soft steps, balanced posture, and a rhythm unique to each individual. The cat's eyes close completely now, her ears no longer shifting. She drifts into light sleep, the state where dreams begin. Cats spend much of their rest in this stage, where small twitches of whiskers and paws hint at dreamlike memories and gentle imaginings. You lie beside her, letting the quiet courtyard wrap around you like a soft blanket. The night feels deeper here, but not darker. Just calmer, more weighted, like a lullaby woven into the air. The courtyard slowly gives way to a narrow path lined with ivy, and the cat rises with a long, unhurried stretch. Cats often stretch after resting to restore circulation and gently wake their muscles. Each movement is slow, fluid, and deliberate, like a soft ripple through their entire body. She walks ahead, her silhouette shifting between moonlit patches and drifting shadows. Cats move easily in low light, not only because of their vision, but also because they rely on memory and touch. Their paws sense slight changes in ground texture, stone, moss, soil. guiding them even before sight does. As you follow her, the ivy on either side rustles faintly. Cats are sensitive to even tiny vibrations, detecting motion through their whiskers and skin. These subtle cues tell them who or what might be nearby long before there's anything to see. The path widens into a gentle garden where tall plants sway lightly in the night breeze. Cats often explore gardens slowly because the layers of scent here are rich and complex. Each plant, each leaf, each trace of an animal that passed hours ago creates a soft tapestry of information. She pauses beside a tall cluster of grasses. Cats naturally gravitate toward vertical shapes, grasses, reeds, stems, because these environments echo the habitats of their ancestors, where slender plants offered cover and comfort. A soft chirp escapes her as she watches a leaf flutter to the ground. Cats make this chirping sound during moments of focus or mild excitement, especially when observing movements that trigger their hunting instincts. It's a tiny, almost musical sound carried gently through the night air. She steps onto a patch of soil warmed from the day. Cats prefer warm surfaces because their ideal resting temperature is higher than humans. Warmth provides comfort, eases muscles, and helps them relax into the calmness of the moment. You notice how her whiskers move independently, adjusting to tiny shifts in the breeze. These whiskers are deeply rooted with rich nerve endings, making them incredibly sensitive. Even the faintest air movement around objects informs her of the space she's in. A small stone catches her attention, and she taps it with a paw. Cats use this light tapping behavior to test objects, checking their weight, texture, and whether they move or react. It's a subtle form of exploration built into their instincts. The night sky deepens and the stars shimmer softly. Cats don't navigate by stars, but they do sense the subtle brightness in the sky. To them, starlight is enough to illuminate gentle outlines and quiet movements. She slips through a hedge of flowering shrubs, and you notice how her body narrows instinctively. Cats can compress their bodies through narrow spaces thanks to their flexible spine and floating collarbones. If their head fits, their whole body usually can. Inside the small grove beyond the hedge, the air is cooler. Cats sense temperature changes not only through their skin, but through their fur, which acts like a network of tiny environmental sensors. Even slight changes help them adjust their movement and position. She brushes her cheek lightly against a low branch. Cats do this to leave behind gentle scent markers. These pheromones help make familiar spaces feel safe and comforting, turning a garden into a quiet sanctuary. Her tail moves in a slow, thoughtful sway. Tail movements reflect emotions, curiosity, contentment, gentle awareness. Here, the slow sway shows she feels calm and alert, enjoying the subtle activity around her. A faint rustle comes from a bed of dry leaves. The cat's ears rotate instantly, each ear adjusting on its own. Cats have over 30 muscles in each ear, allowing them to locate sounds with remarkable precision. Even small shifts are meaningful to them. She sits beside a pool of moonlight where the soil is soft. This open patch gives her a clear view of the surroundings. Cats instinctively choose spots where they can observe without feeling observed, a quiet balance of openness and shelter. She begins grooming her front paw, her tongue rasping quietly against her fur. This grooming releases calming chemicals in her brain, reducing stress and reinforcing the feeling of safety. You notice her eyes half close as she finishes. Cats often half close their eyes when they feel peaceful, letting the world blur into gentle shapes. It's a sign of comfort and trust. A small breeze scatters a few petals across the path. Cats detect these tiny shifts and often turn their heads toward moving petals, drawn to motion even when it's soft and harmless. The garden seems to deepen into a dreamlike calm. The shadows soften, the air stills, and the quiet presence of the cat fills the space around you with tranquility. She curls onto a cushion of moss again, her paws tucked beneath her chest. This posture, called loafing, indicates pure contentment. A cat in this pose feels safe enough to rest without lying fully down. You settle beside her, your breath falling into a steady rhythm. The garden of soft shadows becomes a peaceful refuge, where every rustle, every subtle light, and every gentle motion blends into a soothing lullaby of nighttime life. The soft garden path rises gently until it meets a wooden footbridge stretching over a calm stream. The cat steps onto it with delicate confidence. Cats often enjoy elevated, narrow passages like this. They naturally balance with ease, their bodies adjusting instinctively to even the slightest sway beneath their paws. The wood creaks faintly underfoot, and she pauses to listen. Cats can distinguish tiny differences in sound intensity, helping them sense whether something beneath them is stable or changing. Even the softest creak tells her a small story about the bridge's structure. She continues forward, her steps placed with precision. Cats' paws touch down toe first, absorbing sound and distributing weight quietly. It's the reason their movements feel more like gliding than walking. The stream beneath the bridge murmurs softly. Cats aren't always drawn to water, but they are fascinated by its motion and sound. They can detect subtle vibrations through their paw pads, meaning even the ripple of a passing fish becomes part of their sensory map. Moonlight reflects gently off the surface, scattering silver patterns onto the underside of the bridge. Cats perceive these flickers as soft, shifting shapes, not sharp reflections. To them, the water feels alive and ever-changing. A faint breeze moves through the wooden beams, and the cat lifts her head. Cats use their sense of smell to interpret air movement, reading faint scents that drift from distant places. Every breeze carries stories of where creatures have traveled. You follow her slowly, watching how her tail rises for balance. A raised tail helps cats counterbalance precise steps. It adjusts with every small movement of her body, acting as a graceful rudder, guiding her along narrow spaces. She pauses near the bridge's center, sitting in a patch of pale moonlight. Cats often choose resting spots where they can feel the subtle warmth of reflected light. Even moonlight offers a softness that calms and comforts them. The wooden railing beside her holds tiny scratches, marks made by other cats who once explored this bridge. Cats often leave such traces to stretch their limbs, loosen their muscles, and mark familiar territory. From the shadows beneath the railing, you notice a tiny spider weaving a web. The cat watches it with steady interest. Cat's eyes refresh images rapidly, allowing them to track moving threads and delicate shapes with precision. She tilts her head slowly as the spider moves. Head tilting helps cats judge distance and height, giving them a clearer sense of spatial relationships in dim lighting. A soft chirping sound drifts from the nearby trees. Instantly, her ears turn toward it. Cats gather directional cues from subtle differences in sound arrival time, even fractions of a millisecond. This lets them locate the source with remarkable accuracy. She kneads the wooden boards gently, pressing her paws in slow, rhythmic motions. Even on hard surfaces, kneading offers comfort and relaxation. It's a way of grounding themselves, spreading tension away from their bodies. You hear a low purr vibrating faintly through the quiet night. Purring while exploring elevated spaces helps steady a cat's breathing and heart rate, easing the mind into calm alertness. She leans over the railing slightly, watching the water below. Cats judge distances by combining depth perception, whisker data, and subtle changes in lighting. Even in darkness, they gauge safely how far down the surface lies. A small leaf drifts onto the stream, carried by the gentle current. Cats naturally track drifting objects because such movements mimic the unpredictable sways and patterns they are instinctively tuned to notice. You join her by the railing, feeling the cool night air brushing against your skin. She blinks slowly at you again, her whiskers relaxed. That soft blink feels like an invitation to share the stillness with her. A soft gust of wind shakes the trees overhead, sending a rain of petals onto the bridge. Cats often react to falling petals as if each one carries its own tiny motion worth observing. Even the smallest flutter can catch their attention. She rolls lightly onto her side, stretching her front legs forward. This gentle stretch loosens the muscles along her shoulders and spine, preparing her to settle into a more restful position. The night becomes quieter as the stream settles. The water's murmur smooths into a soft, continuous whisper. Cats often rest near calming sounds. Steady rhythms soothe their senses and create a lull around them. She curls into a small crescent on the wooden boards of the bridge, paws tucked beneath her body. Her breathing slows, steady and peaceful. You sit beside her, legs crossed, allowing the moment to settle around you. The bridge, the moonlight, the water, and the soft presence of the cat all blend together into a gentle harmony. Here, in this small suspended place above the water, the night feels like it has paused just for you both. The bridge leads you into a wide, open meadow where the night air feels even softer, as if it's preparing for the first whisper of morning. The cat steps onto the cool grass with effortless grace. Cats enjoy meadows because the openness gives them a broad, calm landscape to observe, while the tall grasses brush gently against their sensitive fur. The grass bends slightly beneath her paws, and she pauses to feel the subtle movement. Cats sense vibrations in the ground through tiny receptors in their paws, letting them detect footsteps, rustling insects, or distant shifts in the earth long before sight catches up. She walks forward, tail swaying in slow, thoughtful arcs. Cats' tails act as communication, balance, and emotional signals all at once. Here, the slow sway shows that she feels peaceful, curious, and deeply at ease in this open space. A cluster of fireflies drifts above the meadow, their faint lights moving like lanterns suspended in the air. Cats can see the flicker of these lights distinctly thanks to a rapid refresh visual system designed to detect motion even in dim environments. She tilts her head as the fireflies glow brighter and dim again, a tiny rhythm she follows with serene fascination. Cats use head tilts not only to assess sound, but also to interpret depth and angle, a way of turning moments into gentle puzzles. The meadow carries the cool scent of night flowers just beginning to close. She lowers her nose to the grass, reading scents layered through the blades. Cats can distinguish time in scent, whether another animal passed minutes ago or hours ago, whether the air is new or carried from distant places. A faint chirp echoes through the meadow, the soft call of a waking bird. Cats hear this effortlessly. Their hearing range includes pitches both higher and softer than anything humans can detect. Each nighttime sound becomes part of their map of the world. The cat steps toward a small patch of clover and kneads it gently. Kneading on soft ground releases tension, spreads her warmth, and helps her settle into the shift between movement and rest. Even outdoors, kneading is a comforting ritual of grounding. She sits, and her silhouette becomes a small shape against the wide expanse of dark sky. Cats' pupils widen to enormous circles in low light, making the world feel almost luminous to them. Shapes, shadows, and small movements appear with clarity. You follow her gaze toward the horizon, where a faint bluish glow is just beginning to form. Cats often notice early changes in the sky, not through color, but through brightness and contrast. Their eyes detect subtle shifts that hint at dawn long before it becomes obvious. She stands again and steps lightly through the tall grass. Cats can raise their paws higher when moving through uneven or obstructed terrain. This lifted gait keeps them balanced and prevents interference with their whiskers and legs. The air grows slightly warmer. The Earth's gentle signal that night is preparing to release its hold. Cats feel temperature changes through the thin skin of their ears and nose, helping them sense transitions in the environment. A small moth drifts past her, fluttering lazily in the cool air. She watches it, but does not chase. Cats often observe moving creatures calmly during restful moods, allowing curiosity to guide their attention instead of instinct. Her whiskers spread slightly as she steps into a faint breeze. Whiskers detect both movement and stillness in the air, acting almost like tiny weather instruments. They help her understand direction, proximity, and the gentle dance of night around her. She rubs her cheek lightly against a tall grass stem, leaving a whisper of her scent behind. Cats mark comforting places to build a sense of familiar territory, not out of dominance, but to create a peaceful map of safety. A soft purr begins, blending with the faint hum of the meadow. Purring here feels like part of the landscape, a steady vibration that calms both her body and somehow the air around her. The stars above start to fade, one by one, their light washed gently by the beginning of dawn. Cats don't seek the sunrise, but they feel its approach in their bodies, a stirring of alertness mixed with lingering rest. She lies down in a patch of dew-kissed grass, curling her body into a small, rounded shape. Dew collects lightly on her fur, but she doesn't mind. Her coat repels moisture softly, keeping her warm at the surface. Her eyes half close as the meadow dims into a soft gray. Cats often drift into first light rest, a peaceful state where they remain aware, yet deeply relaxed. Watching the world wake slowly around them. You lie beside her, feeling the meadow breathe with the early morning air. The transition between night and dawn is gentle here. No rush, no urgency, just the slow blooming of light. In this meadow of soft shadows and new beginnings, you and the cat share a quiet pause in time, a moment suspended between dreaming and waking. Dawn settles gently across the meadow, soft as a sigh, and the cat rises with a kind of slow, luxurious stretch that seems to melt into the early light. Cats often greet morning this way, easing their muscles awake, aligning their spine, and renewing their sense of balance before taking another step. She pads toward a narrow stream, winding quietly between smooth stones. Cats are naturally drawn to running water. The movement signals freshness, and the faint sound helps them judge distance and depth long before they get close. The early light glimmers on the surface, scattering pale reflections that dance like floating petals. Cats perceive these subtle shifts in brightness with ease, even though morning light is softer than their preferred twilight glow. She lowers her head and watches the water flow beneath her reflection. Cats often observe water with a kind of meditative stillness, their whiskers alert, detecting the gentle vibrations rising from the stream's surface. A small dragonfly skims above the water, leaving tiny ripples behind. Cats see this movement with astonishing clarity. Their vision is tuned for detecting quick, delicate patterns like these. She steps onto a smooth stone near the bank. Her paws adjust instantly to the cool surface. Paw pads contain thousands of tiny nerve endings that help cats feel texture and temperature, allowing precise balance even when surfaces change suddenly. The first birds begin to sing in the surrounding trees, their calls layered like soft threads of morning sound. Cats' ears rotate slightly with each new note, tracking them with effortless attention. Their hearing picks up the subtle flutter of wings and the faint rustle of leaves far above. She sits, tail curling loosely around her paws. This relaxed posture shows contentment in open spaces. Cats often sit this way when they feel unhurried and peaceful, letting the world settle around them. A breeze moves across the water, bringing with it the earthy scent of moss and wet stone. Cats interpret scents in layers, sensing freshness, distance, and even the movement of animals long after they've passed. As she explores the bank, she taps her paw lightly against a pebble. Cats use touch to learn about objects, testing their movement, weight, and temperature. Even the smallest item becomes a brief but meaningful curiosity. The dragonfly returns, hovering closer this time. The cat tilts her head in that familiar, thoughtful way. Head tilting sharpens their depth perception, helping them distinguish how far something is and how quickly it's moving. The air begins warming, and light filters softly through the trees, creating narrow beams across the stream. Cats often rest in these warm streaks of morning sun, using them as gentle heat sources to begin their day. She steps into one of these golden patches. Her fur seems to glow as she settles her body into the warmth. Silky guard hairs catch the light, while the dense undercoat keeps her comfortable, despite the coolness still lingering in the air. You notice her purrs start again, low, soothing, steady. Cats purr in moments of pure contentment, but also to deepen relaxation. The vibration travels through their bodies and even slightly into the ground beneath them. She grooms her shoulder with slow, careful strokes. Morning grooming is part of a cat's natural rhythm, smoothing their fur, waking their senses, and preparing them for the gentle day ahead. A small leaf drifts into the stream and begins floating downstream. The cat follows its lazy path with calm eyes. Cats enjoy watching slow-moving objects too. Not everything must be swift or erratic to hold their interest. She rises and steps along the stream's edge, moving with quiet precision. Cats often keep close to natural borders, like water lines or hedges, using them as guides. It helps them feel oriented and connected to the landscape. The first insects of the day hum above the grass, Cats can detect the subtle vibration of wing beats through the air itself. Even if they do not chase, they are aware, always softly aware. A stretch of smooth, sun-warmed rock invites her, and she climbs onto it to sit once more. Cats seek rising warmth instinctively, letting it seep into their muscles, easing them into wakefulness. Her eyes soften into half-closed slits, a sign of absolute peace. The morning isn't loud or bright. It's gentle, filtered through trees and mist, making it the perfect moment for quiet reflection. You sit beside her once again, feeling the warmth of the stone beneath you, the soft murmur of the water, the calming presence of a feline companion who moves through the world with grace and ease. Here, by the whispering stream, morning begins not with noise or rush, but with calm, a soft awakening shared between you, the water, and the quiet rhythms of a cat in the first light. The stream bends gently toward a line of rising hills, and the cat leads you there at an easy pace, her steps light against the warming earth. Cats often stroll like this during early daylight, not rushing, but absorbing every scent and sound the new sun reveals. The hills are covered in soft grasses that shimmer gold under the first rays of morning. As the cat walks through them, the grass brushes her fur in delicate waves. Cats use these subtle touches to sense the height and thickness of their surroundings, tuning into texture as much as sight. She pauses where the hillside curves upward, sitting for a moment with her back to the sun. Cats enjoy warming their fur in the early hours. The heat seeps into their muscles and helps them wake gently from the coolness of the night. Her ears flick toward the sound of a distant meadowlark. Cats can hear the high, thin notes of birdsong that fall far above human hearing, and they sort these sounds into meaning, location, distance, and motion with quiet precision. A patch of clover sways nearby, and the cat steps into it with a soft chirp. Cats make this sound when they feel curious or slightly excited, a tiny pulse of emotion carried through their throat. Even in calm moments, these chirps are gentle expressions of awareness. She lowers her head to breathe in the scent of the clover. Cats' sense of smell is powerful, allowing them to read the freshness of plants, the movement of insects, and even the faint trail of animals long gone. Each breath becomes a small story. You notice dew glistening on her whiskers. Whiskers are sensitive enough to detect droplets and shifts in humidity. They act like environmental antennas, helping her understand the soft changes of the morning air. The hill rises more steeply here, and she climbs it with fluid ease. Cats' flexible spines and strong hind legs let them move upward smoothly, adjusting their balance continuously as the incline changes. At the top, the landscape opens into a wide stretch of golden fields. She sits, her tail curling gently around her paws, a sign of quiet interest and comfort. Cats often pause at high vantage points to observe, letting their senses settle into the space around them. A butterfly drifts past, moving lazily on the warming breeze. The cat's eyes follow its flutter, not with the intent to chase, but simply because cats are tuned to motion. Their vision excels at tracking irregular patterns, even those that float gently. She stretches her toes, revealing small claws before retracting them again. Cats sheath their claws to protect the sharp tips, preserving them for climbing, gripping, or balancing. Even this small movement speaks of readiness wrapped in calm. A gentle gust of wind brushes across the hilltop, carrying with it the scent of herbs growing wild, thyme, lavender, soft hints of mint. Cats can distinguish these scents easily, noticing which ones mingle naturally and which ones drift from farther away. The morning sun warms the stones scattered across the hillside. The cat steps onto one, circling once before settling down. Cats often choose warm surfaces because their bodies naturally seek gentle heat to maintain comfort and relaxation. Her breathing slows, matched to the rhythm of the breeze. Cats synchronize their breath with the environment when they feel completely safe. It's a quiet alignment with the world around them. She grooms her chest fur with slow, deliberate motions. Grooming in the morning helps distribute natural oils across her coat, giving it softness and shine while calming the muscles activated during the climb. A few insects buzz around the grasses, and she listens with subtle shifts of her ears. Cats can pinpoint the location of tiny movements using micro-adjustments, each ear acting independently like a finely tuned instrument. She flops onto her side, rolling lightly in the warm grass. This rolling behavior often signals comfort and pleasure, a way of relaxing fully into the softness of the earth. The hillside feels peaceful, almost timeless. Cats often seek spaces like this during early light because open areas allow them to observe without interruption, giving them a serene sense of presence. Her eyes drift half shut again as the sunlight warms her fur. Cats enter these semi-resting states often, awake but deeply relaxed, letting the world move slowly around them. You sit beside her, resting your hand on the warm grass. The sun rises a little higher, painting the hills in gentle gold. Nothing rushes here. The morning stretches long and quiet, like a soft breath held between moments. In these warm hills under the slow-moving light, you and the cat share a calm that settles deep into the day. The world feels balanced, open sky above, warm earth below, and a companion who moves with the pure ease of nature. Beyond the sunlit hills, the landscape softens into an old orchard where the trees grow low and wide, their branches forming gentle arches of shade. The cat steps beneath them, and the ground becomes cool again, sprinkled with fallen leaves and early fruit. Cats enjoy places like this, half sun, half shadow, because the shifting light creates soft patterns that move with the breeze. Their eyes, sensitive to contrast, notice these quiet motions even when everything else is still. She brushes lightly against a tree trunk, leaving a faint trace of her scent. Cats have glands on their cheeks that release calming pheromones, marking places that feel safe and familiar. Each gentle rub makes the orchard feel more like a peaceful home. A small pear rests on the ground nearby. She approaches it with a thoughtful, delicate tap of her paw. Cats often test unfamiliar objects this way, gauging their weight and texture. The pear rolls a few inches, and she watches its slow movement with calm curiosity. Sunlight filters through the leaves above, creating soft, dappled patches that warm the grass. The cat steps into one of these glowing spots and settles down. Cats seek warm patches instinctively. These gentle temperatures soothe their muscles and invite relaxation. A bird calls softly from a branch overhead. The cat's ears turn without her moving her body. With over 30 muscles in each ear, she adjusts them like two tiny satellite dishes, sampling sound direction with astonishing accuracy. She glances upward, watching the bird rustle its wings. Her pupils narrow slightly as the light brightens. Cats' pupils shift rapidly to protect their sensitive eyes, balancing brightness and clarity with precise control. As she moves again, Her steps are silent on the orchard floor. Cat's padded paws allow them to walk without disturbing the ground, making even dry leaves move softly. Their quiet tread now feels like part of the orchard's natural rhythm. She slips between two low branches, her whiskers guiding her through the narrow space. Whiskers act as measuring tool. If they brush gently against edges, she instinctively adjusts, moving her body with smooth precision. A soft breeze brushes by, carrying the sweet scent of ripening fruit. Cats interpret this sweetness differently than humans. They don't perceive sugar flavors, but they sense the freshness, the moisture, and the presence of small animals that might be drawn to the fruit. You walk beside her, listening to the orchard breathe. Leaves rustle softly overhead, and distant bees hum lazily among blossoms. Cats can hear the low-frequency buzz of bees clearly, though they regard it with calm awareness rather than concern. The cat pauses beside a fallen apple and rolls onto her back, stretching her limbs toward the canopy. Cats often lie like this in safe environments, exposing their belly when they feel deeply secure. It's a posture of trust and contentment. She bats gently at a drifting petal with her paw. Light, floating objects often catch a cat's eye, not out of excitement, but because their unpredictable motion stimulates natural curiosity. You notice her whiskers twitch as a small breeze brings a new scent, the faint, earthy notes of freshly turned soil. Cats can distinguish such scents easily, telling old soil from recently disturbed ground, new growth from fallen leaves. She rises and moves toward a section of the orchard where sunlight and shade blend together. Cats choose these softly changing areas to rest, where their senses can drift between wakefulness and calm observation. Her tail wraps around her body as she sits. A wrapped tail is a sign of stillness and comfort, keeping warmth close while signaling a restful mood. She begins grooming again, smoothing her fur with careful, rhythmic motions. Grooming in shaded warmth helps distribute natural oils that protect her coat, keeping it soft and insulating. High above, the wind shifts, sending a ripple through the leaves. The cat watches the movement as though reading the orchard's mood, feeling the subtle change in air pressure through her sensitive whiskers. A few insects drift near the fallen fruit, and she listens to the near silent buzz as they land. Cats detect these delicate sounds effortlessly, distinguishing tiny wing beats from the hum of wind. She circles once on a patch of soft grass and settles down fully, tucking her paws beneath her belly in the peaceful loaf position. This posture signals contentment, grounding her gently into the earth. The orchard becomes utterly calm, just drifting shadows, soft earth, the warm scent of fruit, and your quiet companion beside you. Here in the orchard of dappled light, the morning unfolds slowly, tenderly, without hurry, wrapping both of you in a soft harmony that feels like a quiet dream. The orchard gradually opens into a sunlit path lined with smooth stones, warmed by the rising midday sun. The cat steps onto them with a sense of quiet appreciation. Cats naturally seek gentle warmth, letting heated surfaces soothe their muscles and deepen their relaxation. You notice how she pauses, placing each paw delicately before shifting her weight. The stones hold different temperatures depending on their position in the light, and her sensitive paw pads register every subtle change. She moves forward, tail held softly behind her like a flowing ribbon. Cats adjust their tails continuously as they walk, using them to fine-tune balance and express comfort. Here, her tail's gentle sway mirrors the calm of the day, A faint rustle comes from a patch of wildflowers along the path. Her ears rotate instantly, tracking the sound. Even in bright daylight, cats rely heavily on hearing. Their ears pick up tiny movements from insects, petals brushing together, even the hum of distant wings. She lowers her nose to the flowers, breathing in the mix of warm earth and sweet pollen. Though cats cannot taste sweetness, they sense the life within plants, moisture, oils, and faint trails left by small creatures passing through. The sun filters through the leaves overhead, creating patterns of gold and shade across the stones. Cats perceive these patterns in soft gradients rather than sharp contrasts, making the path feel gentle and inviting. She settles onto a particularly warm stone and tucks her paws beneath her body. In this loaf posture, she keeps her warmth close, relaxing into the soothing heat. Cats often pause like this during midday, letting their bodies rest without fully sleeping. A soft breeze stirs the grass around you. Cats detect even the slightest shift in air movement through their whiskers, which act like delicate weather instruments. Each breeze provides subtle clues about the environment around her. She closes her eyes halfway, letting the warmth seep through her fur. Cats often drift into light dozes like this, not fully asleep but deeply relaxed. Their senses remain gently alert, attuned to any soft change in sound or scent. You watch as she lifts her head briefly, following the lazy path of a drifting leaf. Cats enjoy observing slow movement as much as quick flickers. Both speak to different parts of their natural curiosity. She rises and pads toward a cluster of stones arranged in a natural curve. Cats instinctively choose curved paths. These offer a balance between openness and shelter. Each curve feels like a soft embrace from the landscape. Her whiskers twitch as she steps into a patch of cool shade. Cats use whiskers not only for measuring distances, but also for sensing humidity and temperature differences. The shade is cooler, and she feels it instantly. A small lizard darts across the path, its tail flicking sharply. The cat watches, but remains calm. Cats often observe without chasing during restful states, letting instincts sit quietly beneath layers of peace. The stones beneath you hold the warmth of the approaching noon. Cats love this gentle heat. Their ideal resting temperature is higher than yours, making warm surfaces especially comforting. She moves to a nearby patch of soft soil, steps into it delicately, and begins kneading. Kneading in warm places is especially soothing. The combination of warmth and rhythmic motion helps relax her muscles and release tension. A pair of butterflies loop overhead. She follows their dance with quiet fascination. Cats' eyes excel at tracking fluid, unpredictable movement. They see the butterfly's subtle patterns more clearly than you might. Her tail wraps neatly around her as she sits again. A wrapped tail signifies that she feels completely at ease, her body resting in a state of calm observation. The breeze carries the faint scent of sun-warmed stone, wildflowers, and distant water. Cats interpret these scents in layers, understanding where warmth collects, where insects gather, and where shade deepens. She lies down fully now, stretching her body long across the warm stones. Cats often elongate themselves in warmth, allowing heat to reach every part of their spine and muscles. Her eyes drift closed, and she begins to purr, a calm, steady vibration that merges with the soft hum of midday. Purring helps soothe her body while reinforcing the tranquil rhythm of the moment. The path around you grows still, Only the faint rustle of leaves and the whisper of distant insects remain. The warmth, the quiet, the softness of the stones. Everything blends into a midday lullaby. You lie beside her, letting the warmth touch your skin, letting the moment become slow and soothing. Here in the sunlit stillness of the midday path, time stretches gently, like a long, peaceful breath shared between you and this graceful creature. The warm stone path leads you into a quiet garden where the afternoon light rests gently over everything, turning the air into a soft golden haze. The cat steps ahead with an easy calm, her shadow gliding across petals and curling leaves. The garden is alive with gentle motion, butterflies drifting lazily, bees humming among blossoms, petals stirring in the breeze. Cats are naturally tuned to these kinds of movements. Their eyes catch each flutter not with sharp excitement, but with thoughtful curiosity. She pauses beneath a flower-heavy arch, letting the blossoms brush her back. Cats often enjoy narrow spaces with light contact and leaves, branches, or even hanging herbs. These soft touches help them understand their environment through a blend of scent and sensation. A butterfly floats down and lands on a nearby bloom. The cat watches it silently, her pupils narrowing just slightly in the warm light. Cats adjust their pupils quickly to manage brightness, keeping their vision clear and comfortable. She moves deeper into the garden, tail held like a gentle question mark. This particular tail posture often signals soft contentment mixed with curiosity, the kind of mood that invites exploration without urgency. The garden air smells sweet and warm. Cats detect the richness of afternoon scents in delicate layers. The sun-warmed soil, the light perfume of flowers, the faint trails left by insects and birds. For them, scent paints a fuller picture than sight alone. She steps onto a stone bench warmed by hours of sunlight, then stretches luxuriously, lengthening her spine from neck to tail. Afternoon stretches help cats release the last bits of stiffness from resting, preparing their muscles for slow, comfortable movement. A bee buzzes gently nearby and her ears twitch to follow its soft hum. Cats can locate even tiny flying insects with remarkable accuracy by listening alone, distinguishing pitch and distance without turning their head. She hops down from the bench and pads across a patch of thyme. The plants release a subtle fragrance under her paws. Cats often enjoy walking over low herbs because the scents cling lightly to their fur, a natural, calming perfume. A cluster of butterflies lifts into the air all at once, drifting like a handful of floating petals. The cat watches them with a serene interest. Cats enjoy tracking unpredictable motions, and butterflies offer one of the gentlest patterns to follow. She lowers herself into a comfortable crouch on the grass, her belly fur barely touching the warm ground. Cats often rest in this posture during the afternoon, balancing alertness with relaxation. You notice her whiskers shifting as the breeze changes direction. Whiskers respond not only to touch, but also to pressure differences in the air, allowing the cat to sense the subtle approach of insects or the softness of an approaching petal. She begins grooming her shoulder again, each slow lick smoothing her fur. Afternoon grooming helps regulate her temperature. It spreads natural oils, while also keeping her coat aligned with the direction of the breeze. Birdsong drifts from a tall tree nearby, slow and melodic. The cat lifts her head slightly, listening. Even in rest, cats maintain a gentle awareness of their surroundings, absorbing patterns of sound and making sense of them with quiet ease. She moves toward a cluster of tall flowers and weaves between them, her body aligning perfectly with the narrow gaps. Cats' flexible spines and floating collarbones let them pass through tight spaces without effort, gliding like water between the stems. A single petal falls onto her back, and she flicks her tail in a soft, almost playful response. Cats feel even the lightest touches through their fur. Each hair is connected to sensitive nerves that interpret the world in tiny, comforting impressions. The sunlight shifts, warming the garden in deeper gold. She steps into one of these bright patches and settles down, letting the sun blanket her entire body. Cats often sunbathe not just for warmth, but because sunshine relaxes their muscles and helps regulate their internal rhythm. Her eyes drift into that familiar half-closed state of calm. In this soft afternoon glow, she's not alert, not sleepy, simply present. A gentle balance of observing and resting. The garden hums around you, bees working lazily, leaves whispering in waves, butterflies circling in slow motion. The cat's purr begins again, matching the peaceful harmony of the place. You sit beside her, feeling the warmth on your skin and hearing the soft chorus that surrounds you. Time moves gently here, as if the afternoon stretches out just for the two of you. In this sunlit garden, full of quiet wings and drifting petals, the world becomes soft, warm, and endlessly soothing. A perfect afternoon, drifting toward evening. The afternoon garden slowly transitions into a wide stone terrace touched by the warm glow of the setting sun. The cat steps onto the terrace with a calm grace, her shadow stretching long and soft behind her. Cats often enjoy evenings like this, when the world cools gently and scents deepen in the tender twilight air. The stone beneath her paws is still warm, though the heat is fading. Cats appreciate this warmth as it eases the transition from day to night, helping their muscles relax into the slower rhythm of evening. She pauses near a low wall framing the terrace. Through the balustrade, you can see distant fields bathed in amber light. The cat lifts her head, taking in the last scents of the day. Warm earth, sweet blossoms, faint traces of insects retreating into shade. Her ears turn toward a soft rustling from a nearby vine. Cat's hearing remains sharp even in quiet moments. They notice the subtle shift of leaves brushing each other, the tiny footfalls of evening creatures beginning their nightly wanderings. She leaps onto the low wall with silent precision. Cats instinctively judge distances with a blend of whisker awareness, depth perception, and memory. Their bodies rise and land without sound, perfectly measured and balanced. The terrace is framed by flowering plants in tall clay pots. She moves among them, brushing her cheek against one with gentle affection. These scent marks make spaces feel familiar and comforting, a soft tapestry of her presence woven into the environment. The sun sinks lower, casting long beams of gold across her fur. Cats appear especially radiant in evening light. Each hair catches the glow in a warm shimmer. Their coats are made to play with the light, reflecting and softening it naturally. She settles into one of these glowing beams and curls her tail neatly around her paws. This elegant posture reflects both comfort and calm attentiveness, a peaceful presence in the heart of the terrace. A gentle breeze drifts across the stones, carrying cooler air from the approaching night. Cats detect the shift in temperature immediately through their whiskers and the sensitive skin of their ears. Evening winds often bring richer scents, signaling that night creatures are beginning to stir. She watches a small cluster of gnats dancing in a spiral above the terrace. Cats follow such drifting, circling movements instinctively, not to pounce, but simply because their visual system is designed to track fluid motion effortlessly. As the light dims, the first star appears. Cats sense nightfall not only by sight, but through changes in contrast, brightness, and the feeling of coolness gathering around them. Evening is a natural time of alert calm for them, not urgent, just gently awakened. She stretches again, arching her back into a graceful curve. Cats stretch frequently during transitions, day into evening, rest into movement. These stretches coordinate their muscles and realign their balance. A distant bird calls its final notes of the day. The cat tilts her head, listening to the fading sound. Even when birds quiet down, cats hear the rustling of wings settling into roosts or the soft flutter of feathers in high branches. She pads toward a woven mat placed in the corner of the terrace. It's soft and slightly elevated, and she circles it slowly, preparing to settle. Cats often circle before resting to align their body with the direction of subtle breezes and to flatten the surface beneath them. She curls into a loose spiral on the mat. Her eyes drift half closed as a purr begins, a light, steady hum that blends with the warm quiet of the terrace. Purring in the evening often reflects complete comfort, a smooth transition into nighttime ease. Fireflies begin to glow near the terrace's edge, flickering like tiny lanterns. The cat watches them with soft fascination. Their slow, rhythmic patterns soothe her senses, and yours as well. The sky transforms into a deepening blue, painting the terrace in cooler hues. The final warm light touches the landscape, lingering on the horizon as if reluctant to leave. The cat's breathing becomes slow and rhythmic, perfectly in harmony with the gentle hush settling over the world. Evening softness wraps around both of you, a delicate transition from day's brightness to night's calm. You sit beside her on the warm stones, feeling the peace of the terrace settle deep into your body. Everything is quiet, the air, the earth, the fading sun, and the gentle presence of the cat beside you makes the moment feel complete. The terrace leads into a quiet night garden, a place where shadows soften into gentle shapes and the air cools into a calming embrace. The cat steps ahead slowly, her paws moving across the moss-laced stones without a sound. Evening has deepened now, wrapping the world in a soft, velvety calm. Lantern-like fireflies drift among the leaves, their glow rising and falling in tiny waves. Cats notice these faint lights easily, their eyes tuned to subtle shifts in brightness, even when the world seems dark to you. She watches the drifting sparks with a peaceful gaze, her tail swaying in a slow, content rhythm. The night garden smells of cool earth and blooming flowers that open only at dusk. She breathes in deeply, whiskers trembling at the delicate mix of scents. Cats understand the night through aroma as much as sound. Each scent tells a story of who visited, who passed through, and where the quiet life of the garden begins to stir. She moves toward a patch of soft grass and kneads it gently, pressing her paws into the earth with steady, soothing motions. Cats knead most often when they feel completely safe. Each rhythmic touch seems to soften the air around her, as if she's weaving calm directly into the ground. Above you, the sky glows with starlight, faint and dreamy. Cats don't need bright stars to see. Even in this soft darkness, her vision remains clear. But she pauses to look upward anyway, taking in the stillness of the sky as though it's part of her peaceful ritual. Her ears shift to track the faint chirp of a distant cricket. Cats can hear frequencies far higher than humans can, turning even gentle night sounds into a detailed landscape of motion. Each soft rustle, each tiny call blends into her quiet awareness. She circles once on a patch of moss, then curls her body into a relaxed crescent. The ground is cool beneath her, the air perfectly still. Cats choose resting places not only by comfort, but by the softness of sound and scent around them. And this spot feels just right. You settle beside her, feeling the moss rise slightly under your weight. The night seems to hush itself for you, letting the stillness deepen. You hear the gentle rhythm of her breath as it slows into a peaceful cadence, steady, soothing, almost melodic. Her tail wraps loosely around her body, a sign of complete comfort. Her whiskers relax, no longer searching for shifts in the air. Even her ears soften, settling into a calm, resting position. She is fully at ease. A soft purr begins, radiating through the quiet night. Purring in moments like this is a kind of drifting, a cat's way of easing into the final calm of the day. The vibration is delicate, almost humming into your own breath and guiding you inward toward rest. The air cools just enough to make the garden feel like a gentle nest. Flowers close slowly, folding their petals as if tucking themselves into sleep. The leaves sway with a faint breeze, murmuring soft lullabies through their subtle motion. The cat's eyes lower, blinking slowly one last time, a gesture of trust, of closeness, of quiet companionship. Then they close fully, her body relaxing even deeper into the moss. Beside her, you feel the warmth of the day releasing, the peace of night gathering around you like a soft blanket. The world narrows into this small, tranquil circle of presence. The resting cat, the cool earth, the whispering garden, the deepening sky. You breathe in gently, letting the night cradle you. You breathe out slowly, letting the day drift away. Here, in the night garden where dreams begin, you are safe, warm, and held by the stillness. You may close your eyes now, letting the quiet settle over you, letting rest come naturally, softly, like a cat curling into sleep beside you.